Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Garage Studio Modelers. I'm Dave Forrest. Harvey isn't with us today. He had another commitment, couldn't make it, but we're going to carry on, and we're going to focus on painting, or start painting the Stug, and in particular we're going to start painting the bottom and the running gear, and we're going to use our trusty paint by number set from Gunzi. This is for the Panzer Yellow. I know we've seen this on previous episodes. But before we get to that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about priming. And for this kit, and for any model I'm going to be doing that has a Panzer Yellow base, even if it's going to have camo on it, I love to use a mix of Mr. Surfacer black and mahogany. And I mix it about 50-50 so you get this nice dark brown color. And I just find it, you could use the black, but I just find maybe it gives a slightly richer depth or color depth of shadow as opposed to the black. The black I use for olive green and for 4BO green, but I really like the dark brown for Panzer Yellow. So that's what I did here, and then on off camera I just primed the bottom of the kit, the running gear and the undersides as mentioned previously. And the reason why I haven't done the top yet is because I'm still waiting for some stuff to arrive. I've got an order in with B&A for an Aber barrel and muzzle, and I've also got some stowage coming from Value Gear as well that I'm going to put. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to look like, but I'll play around with it. So I wanted to maybe leave the upper portion alone. The other thing I need to do is with this edition of the Panzer Art gun cover here, there's a bit of a gap, and I do need to put some type of tarp on top of that to kind of cover that up. And I haven't figured out how to do that. I've been kind of playing around with milliput and foil. I might try and use the VMS paper forming solution that they have, but I don't know yet. So we'll do that off camera, and I'll talk about how I did that afterwards. So I'm going to leave the top alone, but we will focus on doing the bottom, and we'll show you how to paint the running gear and whatnot, and kind of go over the concept of not painting or not masking everything off, because there's going to be a lot of mud, and given that this is going to be in the winter, there's going to be a lot of mud and snow on the running gear, so precision on painting the wheels isn't really required, and in my mind, not a good investment of time. So with that, we'll get right to painting. Okay, so I've got the paint mix. So again, we're using the Mr. Hobby Panzer Yellow paint by number set. So there's 4 colors in there. It goes from, you have like a shadow color, a base, a first highlight, a second highlight. So we're just gonna work up from the darkest color. So I've got the base color here, or the shadow color, and I mix it. I thin it pretty good. I thin it 50-50, maybe 40% paint, 60% thinner, pretty thin. And I use these disposable cocktail or shot glasses that we get from our local dollar store here. Now the only problem with the shot glasses is that the lacquer thinner attacks it and kind of softens it, but not to the point where it contaminates the paint or anything, but just something to be careful about. I'm going to remove the top of the copula here with these rangefinders, I guess, just to get them out of the way so I don't damage them as I'm manipulating the vehicle. And I'll probably leave this unglued until final assembly. The reason for that is it'll be easier to get this out just to paint the individual visors for the viewing viewports there. Okay, so we're spraying at our typical 12 to 15 psi, and I'm just going to start building up color. Maybe what I'll do is I'll transfer this sheet over here just so I can, again, never start spraying on the model. And I'm just going to start building up color, kind of just working in the larger open areas. And I'm using my trusty Iwata Revolution, the 0.3 needle. It's the most versatile airbrush I have, the one I use the most. I recently bought a Pash H series, which is a single action airbrush and I actually primed it with it. Yeah, not bad. So it takes going back to a single action takes a little bit of use, and the reason for that, the reason why I did that was, or I bought it, was that I thought it would be a good idea on a recommendation from my friend Jerry Brennan, on for priming and for gloss coating, that you don't have to worry about manipulating the amount of paint coming through. It's a fixed setting, so it's maybe a better application for those types of things. So I'm just kind of building up. Again, you can just see, just kind of randomly filling in the spaces with color. Now the underside of the vehicle is a great place to start painting, because you can make mistakes and you can cover them up later with weathering. Like there's going to be some mud and whatnot, and even if you don't, people typically aren't going to see the underside. So just continue, just build it up. The shadow color, I find, is the color, and the way I do it, because it's the first one you put down, is the color you spend the most time on, just because you're trying to get all of that coverage. So I'll hit these little access panels. And just work back here again, just kind of filling in the spaces. Just a bit of a cloud pattern, like you're just kind of randomly building it up. And this will be the same process when we do the upper part of the vehicle. Nothing will change there. And a reminder, this will be done in a winter whitewash. There won't be any camo on it. It will just be the dark yellow and a winter whitewash effect, which I'm still debating how I'm going to do. I think it'll be a combination of chipping and maybe some oils. I think to get some nice depth and variation, some streaking effects with the oils. But that'll be a subsequent episode. So again, you don't have to be too precise, because this is the first color. And you're going to be building up a lot of lighter coats on top of this, a lot of lighter layers on top of this. You notice I am painting the exhausts, because the exhausts were typically, or the mufflers rather, were typically painted in the same color as the camo. So I'm going to do the same thing. Just getting all the little nooks and crannies. Again, you don't have to be terribly precise. There will be a fair bit of mud on this vehicle, so you're really just building a base. And I got to be careful manipulating, because I've got these extenders on the back for holding a row of tracks, so I just want to be careful I don't break those off. Move up to the front of the vehicle. Again, you're just kind of building it up very gradually, right? Now, I'm not wearing a mask, neither is Robert, who's filming, but we do have the doors open, and it's a beautiful day here in Toronto, so we do have the doors wide open, so we are getting some ventilation in here. Normally, I would have a booth and a mask when I'm spraying this stuff. I certainly did last night when I was priming. We'll just paint this. Now, I haven't decided if I'm going to put some tracks on this or not, but we'll paint it anyways and just get in there. I might not, because there's some beautiful bolt detail in there that would be great for emphasizing some weathering on. So I might just leave it, but one of those things I haven't quite decided yet. You see, it doesn't take any time at all to build up that base shadow color. Now, some of you might be asking, well, why are you doing the first coat in the shadow color and not the base color, and then use the shadow for shading? Yeah, that's a good question. I guess you certainly could. It's just the way I do it. So now I'm just starting to spray the wheels. And again, I'm not doing it with, there's no mask, I'm not doing it with any level of precision. Because I know there's going to be a ton of mud and weathering on this vehicle. And depending on the level of mud you're going to add, you might, in some cases, you might be able to get away with not painting the wheels at all, but it's always nice to have the base color on them, because as you're weathering and whatnot, if there's any worn areas that show right down to the paint, at least you've got that. But if you know you're just going to layer it on thick there, you might be able to get away with not painting anything. Again, not too worried about getting oversprayed on the rubber parts or even the tracks, because again, everything's going to get a healthy coat of mud. And a little bit of snow. There will be snow on this too. Let's do the other side. Well, let's do the outside here. So again, the same principle. Just start in the middle and work your way out. Building up very gradually. You can see with, when you get pretty practiced at airbrushing, you're not really concerned about going too much on the wheels or too much overspray. That's why it's always a good idea to sort of have an idea. And I don't always do this, so I don't always practice when I'm preaching here, but it's always good to know kind of how much mud you're going to put on it, what your final state of this looks like in your head. And sometimes you know, and sometimes it's a bit of a journey, right? What kind of things come to you during the build or during the painting or weathering phases. Don't forget the return rollers. They likely wouldn't have quite as much mud on them. The idler wheel here. And then you can start, again, painting in those spaces on the side of the hull here, the lower hull. Now this, I will do some whitewashing here too. And again, you don't have to be terribly precise. But you do have to kind of get in close and just get in all kind of the nooks and crannies. How's that looking, Robert, so far? Good?
So far, so good, yes.
So far, so good. Yeah, we've got a camera on top of the workbench here, so you can kind of see a view from above, which will give a much better view into what we're doing. So you can see very quickly, got some color built up on here on the road wheels. Again, you don't have to be terribly precise because there is going to be a fair bit of weathering and mud on this. You can see I've got some overspray on the top here. I'm not concerned about that at all. The nice thing about armor modeling, if you make a little mistake, generally you can get out of it with some weathering. As my airplane modeler friends are always very eager to remind me of. They do look down on armor modelers a bit, don't they? Yeah, they do. But there's different skill sets in here, and I think there's, Harvey and I talk a lot about it, there's definitely, I think, a place for weathering on aircraft, but you gotta be a lot more subtle, that's for sure. A lot finer. And I agree, there is, you do have the option of covering up with mud here, which is a great part. A nice get out of jail free card to play. Okay, so let's focus on the other side. Same thing on the other side here. I'm going to build up the color very gradually. Again, you don't have to be terribly precise. Which is maybe why I like using the 0.3 revolution on this. Like I could, maybe for doing some of the finer point, and I might do that on the top of the vehicle. I might bring out the HPV, which has a 0.15 or 0.18 needle. But for the lower part, this revolution is fine. Good enough. More than good enough. And I found one thing when I was priming, that I really had to get in close to get in between the road wheels. And sometimes what I've done in the past, I didn't do it here obviously, but what I've done in the past is as I'm building the road wheels, I will paint them like a black or dark brown or even the Mr. Surfacer primer here, like the insides of the road wheels before assembling, so at least you've got that taken care of. I didn't do it here, but I might do it next time because it was a bit hard to get in there with the airbrush, but I think I managed to do it. Again, just working your way inside. Probably no better sound in the morning than the sound of bird song and the compressor going off in the background. I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know if you can pick up the bird song on the audio track here, but again, just a stunning day today in Toronto for mid-April. Again, gotta get down, gotta get angled down and all the nooks and crannies. Again, you don't have to be too worried because there is going to be a fair bit of mud. Cover all of this off. You can see I tend to jump around a fair bit. And there's no right way or wrong way of doing this. And you can see there's instances of overspray onto the rubber parts of the road wheels. I'm not concerned about it one bit, and we'll work that into the weathering later. Just give an overall coat just to kind of, you do want to kind of maintain those shadow areas a bit. What we didn't do, I'm going to do this part here. build up the center areas a bit more. There. Maybe just a little bit more. I'll just add a little bit more paint to the cup here. Give one last blast. Get it. I'm just going up and just kind of touching up areas. And just kind of what looks right to the eye. Getting up higher in the, some areas that maybe you kind of just as you paint, you kind of rotate it around and kind of notice areas that might have been missed. Again, no big deal because you have more lighter layers coming. Make sure you get the inside of the sprocket, drive sprocket. You don't want to completely lose the undercoat, so you want to try and leave some shadow. I think we're pretty close. Let's look at this side. A little bit more in the nooks and crannies. Just kind of trying to get behind the road wheels a little bit on the suspension arms. Again, this is just the first of many layers of base color and highlight color and weathering, whitewash, right, that's coming on this, so we don't have to worry about being too precise, but I think we are good. Yeah, okay, so we're just going to move on to the next color, which will be the base color. And what just a note, if I have anything left over, I'll just pour it back in the bottle with the thinner, because it's Gunsy thinner, Gunsy paint, so I don't have an issue doing that. If you're mixing, or if you're using a different type of thing, like, you may want to think twice about that, but because everything is pretty homogeneous here, there we go, and then that will go in the garbage. And then onto the next one. And again, the subsequent coats will get shorter and shorter because you have to put less color down. Wrong side. So this is the base color. So just give it a good mix in the bottle, stir stick, and then just pour a little bit into the cup. Won't need any more than that. always make sure, I'm going to use this one here. Always make sure to clean your paint bobbles. Which I didn't always do in the past. But a little bit. Again, I usually thin this minimum 50-50, maybe 60-40 thinner paint. That's pretty good. You want something that's kind of the consistency of milk. Maybe 2% milk, or just kind of, I think that's pretty good. We'll put that off to the side. We'll close this guy up. Put you back over here. I'll get you off camera there. Clean the stir stick so the paint doesn't dry on it. A lot easier to get off when it's wet. Well. Now I don't bother. I'm gonna not bother cleaning out the airbrush because we're really kind of the same color. There you go. See the lighter colors coming out, and then we can start painting. So again, same idea, just kind of filling in the open areas, just lightly misting it on, not being terribly precise. I'm about 1.5 to 2 inches away from the model. Same air pressure, 12 to 15 psi. Just going to slow down, I'll just focus on highlighting these access points. I'll do that certainly. I'll pay more attention to them in subsequent coats. But you can see now that you've got that first color down, this just goes a lot quicker. And again, the underside of the vehicle is a great place to experiment because nobody's going to see it, and then you can cover it up with a ton of mud. See how quick that was? Okay, I'm not. You're just trying to build up. You want to leave that, you want to let some of that shadow color show through. There, this will focus in the back. So see, this is much quicker than the previous layer. Okay, so let's start. And again, because we've gotten that initial shadow color on there, very and again, there's overspray on the rubber parts of the roof, not concerned about that in the least. it over, do the same thing on the other side. I got some of the tracks there again, not worried about that in the least. And now we can start doing, well, you can see, right, what a noticeable difference between the color here and the color here. So this is just the shadow, this has the base color now on it. Looks pretty good, pretty happy with it. So then again, same process, but it's really much quicker where you're just kind of hitting the running gear, the road wheels, the lower hull side. So how easy that was, how quickly motoring through this very fast. And again, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in this area here in terms of the whitewash and the mud. So don't have to be terribly precise, which is nice. Well, you can kind of get through this, progress on it. So I'm just going to hold this away so I can see it. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And you see how quick that was? Like, fraction of the time. Flip this over and let's do this other remaining side. How quickly I'm just working through the road wheels. Now, if I was working with workable tracks, I would have left them off and put them on after. But because of these are the kit length and length tracks, which are pretty nice in and of their own right, really no need for aftermarket. Just tack-on kit. Big fan of tack-on. Build more tack-on kits than any other manufacturer in the last 10 years or so. So I'm almost out of paint in the cup, but it's just perfect, just enough. And now we are out. But I think we're done. I think we're done with that base color. I think I'm pretty happy with it. So let's move on. Let's move on to the first highlight. Actually, no. I just noticed I missed this spot, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more in. empty this. And then we'll turn the rest, again, same principle, right? So same, Gunsy thinner, Gunsy paint. Put that back in. Okay. Into the poubelle. And now we're on to our first highlight. So again, same process. I'll try and mix up just a little bit of this. That's really all I'm going to need. Go. Now the thinner, again, same. Same consistency, probably 60-40. And I think that the lighter, the higher thinner to paint ratio is a little bit more, even better for. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think it's even more appropriate for the lighter colors. Close that up. Nothing like lacquer thinner smell in the morning. Keep that over here just because I don't want to muck up the mat. There we go. You can see the lighter color is coming out. Okay, and this will be even quicker. Now here I will spend a little bit more time. Here I'm just kind of really picking out details. I'm just kind of misting it onto the open areas. I'm just really kind of touching this very You can see even with the revolution how much control I can get. I'm just gonna mist this on just to get a lighter color. And again, the same process will follow on the upper surface of the vehicle. Flip it over, let's do the other side again, same sort of thing. And then here, I'm just going to basically just touch the center of the road wheel. thing on the idlers, the return rotors rather. Sorry, the idler wheel here. Same thing on the drive sprocket, right? And just lightening up. And that's really all you need to do. Let's flip it over to the other side. Same thing. Kind of work out from the center. And just hit the center of the road wheels. And then just kind of lighten up the middle areas where the most, and again, you're doing this by where light would get to. Lightening up the middle areas, the open areas, the side of the hull. And that's it. Oh, I don't know if we can do this yet. Let's do the front here. So again, I'm just going to, because I'm going to have it where it gets, the closer the ground it gets, the darker it is. So I'm going to keep the highlights kind of to the upper half. Right? Just so you create this nice gradual, maybe just throw a streak in there. That looks good. I'm just going to balance that out a bit. Almost out of paint, but this will just be the perfect amount. There you go. The first highlight, and then the second highlight will be even quicker, the quickest of all four, where I'm just going to hit the, kind of the access hatches and the upper part of this, and maybe, I don't even know if I'll use the highlight color on the sides at all. So it'll be real quick, so I'll just unload the airbrush, return what's left in the cup to the jar here. Garbage. Little wipe. And normally when I spray, my left hand that's holding the model, I have a glove on it, but I haven't done that here today. Highlight 2. So this is the lightest of the four. It's quite thick in the jar. Have to add a little bit more thinner to that. So let's get some. That's more than enough. This thing is pooched. Let's use one of these guys. I get these disposable pipettes from off Amazon, and they're great. Like you get for $20, you get, I don't know, like 500 of them. And so they're just, you use them until they, but they do fail, right? So they, that one just failed. Got a little bit more thinner. Again, you do this enough, you just got an eye for it. I can never remember specific ratios, but this is roughly 60-40. Maybe 65-35. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Clean this off. care of your tools, and your tools will take care of you. Okay, we're good to go. Again, I'm not going to clean up the airbrush. It's really the same color family, just blur every bit in. That's all you need. There you go. And now this will just be an exercise of picking out this guy up back here. These little access hatches. And again, great practice. Like you're not gonna see too much of the highlights here, and likely with the amount of mud that's going to be on here, but great opportunity to practice your brushing skills. Be careful I don't break those support brackets on the back. So you can see like these raised hatches just kind of pop at this point, and the same thing over here. Again, you're not going to see too much of this. Good opportunity to practice though, because when it comes to doing the upper surface of the vehicle, you know, this will have a better payoff. Alright, and then I'm just going to maybe focus a little bit just on the and again, it looks horrible now, like it looks so contrasty, but that's what you want, right? Because the subsequent, like the washes and filters and mud, this is going to tone all of that right down. You're going to lose a lot of it, so good to get it up to that point. And that's, maybe I'll just highlight this hatch back here, this little latching mechanism, and I think maybe just the very center, like each one. Again, you're going to lose a lot of it in the mud. Same thing over here. I'm not going to bother with the insides. And that, maybe a little bit higher here. And just in the middle. Highlights here. And that's it. So now we've got the kind of the bottom half of the Stug ready to go, and that's really it. That's really all I wanted to show you for today's episode. We're just waiting for the aftermarket stuff to come in. We'll finish up the top. There's going to be tracks on the back here. There's tracks in this holder here. I've taken the hammer that came in the vehicle. I've kind of shaved off all of the attachments, the clamp and whatnot. I'm just going to stick that in the holder here next to the tracks. I saw a picture of that in one of those Pecco books. You know, so again, looking at those historical references are a great way of helping you figure out what you're going to do in your model. Got to get that tarp for just to cover this piece here, and then we're good to go. So I don't know if I'm going to do this on camera, like paint the top on camera, or just do it off camera and then talk about it. We'll see how kind of the schedule of things. But next time we'll either paint the top of it, or we'll have everything painted, and then maybe we'll start getting to the whitewash part of it, the chipping. I'll hairspray everything, put some whitewash on it, start removing it, and then we'll go over it with oils again. So hope everybody enjoyed the episode today and took something from it. Thanks for spending some time with me solo today. Harvey will be back for the next episode, so we'll be the two of us again. But until then, be safe, enjoy, and thanks again for your attention today. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.